the NAA, which is called as naphthalene acetic acid, and one more is 2,4-D, that is 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. It will grow tall, but it will not increase in its girth. Why? Because auxin is getting concentrated at the tip, not at the sides of the plant. It will increase the yield of the sugar cane as much as 20 tons per acre. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to another session on chapter 15, that is plant growth and development. I am Dr. Divya, biology faculty, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysore, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session of this chapter, we had discussed about three important terms in cell division, that is differentiation, dedifferentiation and redifferentiation. So differentiation is the term wherein the meristematic cells, they undergo structural modification. It is called as differentiation. And those differentiated cells which have completely become mature and they have lost their capacity to divide further, when they start to divide again, it is called as dedifferentiation. When the dedifferentiated cells become mature and they again start to divide and those cells reach the maturity, it is called as the redifferentiation. In the previous session of this chapter, we had discussed about differentiation, dedifferentiation and redifferentiation, and we also discussed about the development in the plant growth, and we understood that the growth of the plant is always in a sequential manner. That is, first it enters into the meristematic phase, then the elongation phase, and then into the differentiation phase, which is nothing but the maturation phase, and then enters into the senescence and the death of the plant. So it is in a sequential order. And also we understood about a term called as pleiotropy, wherein we took the example of two important plants in their juvenile phase and their adult phase, how exactly the structure of the leaf changes. They exhibit heterophily nature of leaf development. So that we had also studied. And we also studied about the basic characteristics of the plant growth regulators and what led to the discovery of these plant growth regulators also we came across. In today's session, we shall discuss about what is the exact role of these plant growth regulators or the exact physiological effect of these plant growth regulators on the growth of the plant. So we shall study starting from auxin to the last plant growth regulator, that is ethylene. So to begin with, we shall start with the physiological effects of plant growth regulators on the plants, and one of the main hormones that help in increasing the growth of the plant is nothing but auxin. So the word auxin was actually derived from the Greek word auxein, which means to grow. So therefore, auxin also helps the plant to grow, right? So that is why it was taken from the Greek word auxein, which means to grow. So auxin was actually first isolated from the human urine, and the term auxin is usually applied to indole 3 acetic acid and also other natural as well as synthetic forms of these particular compounds wherein they have certain growth regulating properties. So the best example for a auxin is indole 3 acetic acid, which is nothing but IAA, and this auxin actually it is produced at the apices or at the tip of the stem and also at the tip of the root, and we had seen that through Wendt's experiment, right? In the previous session we had studied about Wendt's experiment wherein he proved that at the tip of the coleoptile, that is the covering of the shoot, there is presence of a chemical substance called auxin, which actually helps in the growth of that particular shoot. So therefore auxin is usually, that is when we came to know that auxin is usually found at the tip. Apices means tip of the stem and the roots, where they migrate to the regions of other plant parts for their action to occur. So auxins, wherever the cells which are capable of division, that plant part, these auxins will travel to, so that the cells will further divide, it will lead to the growth of the plant. So that is the function of the auxin, wherein it mainly helps to increase the growth of the plant. And auxins, like we saw earlier, one of the best example for an auxin is IAA, which is indole acetic acid. Apart from that, there is also one more form of auxin which is called as indole butyric acid, that is IBA. So these IAA and IBA have been generally isolated from plants as well, and there is also one synthetic forms of auxins, that is these are natural auxins, IAA and IBA, that is indole acetic acid and indole butyric acid are natural auxins, means they are directly extracted as such from the plants. But apart from that, there are also synthetic forms of auxins. So what are these synthetic auxins? So those chemical compounds or those growth regulators which are manufactured artificially in the laboratory by using certain chemical substances, it is called as a synthetic auxin. So likewise, there are also synthetic auxins that are available in the market which can be applied to the plant so that the plants can grow properly. So one such is the NAA, which is called as naphthalene acetic acid, and one more is 2,4-D, that is 2,4-dichlorophenoliacetic acid. 2,4-D and NAA are two examples for synthetic auxin. This is one of the important questions that will be asked. Name any two natural auxins. You can write it as indole acetic acid and indole butyric acid. And name two synthetic auxins. It is naphthalene acetic acid NAA and 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenoliacetic acid. And these are the synthetic auxins. So all these auxins have been used extensively to a vast extent in most of the agricultural purposes, because at the end of the day, for a farmer, the plants has to grow healthy and properly so that it will give a good yield. So not just good yield, but say for example, fodder crops. If you're growing fodder crops, then the fodder crop should grow healthy and tall and good, right? Then only the marketing rate of it will be very, very high. That is why they use auxin, especially in agricultural practices and also in horticultural practices, because whenever we go to buy any flowering plant and all that, those plants which produce beautiful, bright, bigger flowers, that we buy. And for that reason, auxin is one of the important hormone which regulates the growth of the plant, flowering, fruit development, seed setting and all that. So that is why. Next is talking about the role of auxin. So what is the role of auxin? So we first understood that auxin is used in agriculture as well as in horticulture. So what is its exact role? Why is it used in agriculture and horticulture? We shall see. It is used because auxins will initiate root in stem cuttings. So if you take a stem and say for example rose, you want to propagate rose. So you take a stem cutting of the rose, you put it in the soil, and if you want that stem to root properly, you can add auxin. Or what you can do is, before planting it, you can dip the stem part into the auxin and then you can plant it in the soil. So therefore it will increase the rooting of that particular plant. So to initiate rooting in stem cuttings, auxin are used. That is why auxin is most preferred in tissue culture, because if you use auxin in tissue culture, so in tissue culture what they do, I had told you, you can just taking, so say for example there is a leaf, a small portion of the leaf you cut and put it in a nutrient media, that is tissue culture nutrient media, and you supply it with auxin. From that only callus will start to develop. That callus you can take and put it in one more nutrient media and you supply it with auxin, it will start developing into a new plantlet wherein the rooting will be favored by the auxin. So that is why it is very important in tissue culture and all that. Next is auxins actually promote flowering. Say for example, in pineapple plants, they actually promote flowering because auxin comes under group 1 of the plant growth promoters, right? Or plant growth regulators. That is why auxin actually, it helps in flowering as well. And auxins also prevents the early fruit dropping and the leaf dropping from the that is plant. So in order, so sometimes what happens, plants before they reach their senescent stage itself, because of some reason, fruit that is set will start to fall off very early before they ripen, and the leaves also will start to fall off very early before they that is become old. Because of all that reason, if you have to prevent all that, then auxin can be added to that particular plant. And also it helps in apical dominance. So auxin promotes apical dominance. So here auxin helps in apical dominance. Why? Because we know that at the tip of the coleoptile, say for example, if this is the shoot region, at the tip if there is auxin concentration, it will increase the height of the plant. Right. So here apical dominance means the tip or the apis or the apical region is become more dominant than the other part. So here it will grow tall, but it will not increase in its girth. Why? Because auxin is getting concentrated at the tip, not at the sides of the plant. Likewise, if say for example, if a branch arises here, this particular branch at the tip there is lots of auxin, the branch will develop like this, but the other sub branches will become very minimal in development. So therefore auxin helps in bringing about apical dominance. So apical dominance in plants, if you see the picture A here, you can see a plant with apical bud that is intact. So if you can see here, the apical bud is intact. But if the apical bud is cut or a plant with apical bud that is removed, so when you remove the plant, what happens? Here from the sideways, the bud will or the branching will start to occur, because the auxin concentration will come here, and from here the budding will start to occur. So that is called as apical dominance. So growth of lateral buds into branches after decapitation. So what is decapitation? Decapitation is nothing but removing the tip or apical region of the shoot where the auxin concentration is there, or if it is a shoot, removing the coleoptile region of the shoot, we can say. So that is nothing but decapitation. So auxin also helps in apical dominance, and auxin also induces parthenocarpy. So parthenocarpy means those the formation of fruits without fertilization. So we know that any flowering plants, if it has to produce fruit and set seed, then the pollination is very, very important, wherein the from the male anther, the pollen grain should come and fall on the stigma of the female anther. Then it should enter into the male gamete, should enter into the ovule. There it should fertilize with the egg and all that. Then the setting of the fruit should form and seed should form, right? But in this case, parthenocarpy case, what happens? Without this particular fusion of the male and the female gametes itself, the fertilization will occur directly. That is, some of the cells that is in the embryo sac of the female gametophyte, the nucleus cells that are there surrounding it, they themselves will directly participate in formation of the fruit. So therefore, without seed setting itself, fruit can be formed. So those fruits which are seedless fruits, I can say, that is nothing but parthenocarpy. For example, in tomatoes. So in order to produce fruits without the fertilization process, it is called as parthenocarpy. So to induce parthenocarpy in plants also, this particular auxin is very, very helpful. And auxin, apart from that, they are also used as herbicides. So far we had been studying auxin helps in various role in the growth of the plant, but apart from that, they can be used as a detrimental to other plants also. So what are herbicides? Weedicides. So herbicides can also be called as weedicides. So to kill weeds, these herbicides or weedicides are preferred, and auxin is one such plant which actually promotes or which can be used as a herbicide. And here the best herbicide is 2,4-D. So 2,4-D is a synthetic form of auxin, right? So 2,4-D is a synthetic form of auxin, that is 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. So 2,4-D is one of the synthetic auxins that is used to kill dicotyledonous weeds. Why? Because it will not affect monocotyledonous plants. So if you are growing, if you have a farm of monocotyledonous plants wherein lots of weeds are growing, then these 2,4-D, which is a dicotyledonous weed killer, can be used so that it will not affect the monocotyledon plants, but it will act as a herbicide or weedicide for the dicotyledonous plants. And also this synthetic auxins are used to prepare weed-free lawns. So in lawns and all, a lot of weeds will be growing, different types of grasses, small flowering plants and all that. So to prevent all that, to kill those lawn weeds also, the synthetic form of auxin, that is 2,4-D, can be used. And not just that, auxin also controls xylem differentiation and helps in cell division. So it also helps to control the differentiation of xylem. That is, differentiation of the xylem is further, that is structural modification or change in the xylem cells. For that it will help control xylem differentiation, and also it helps in cell division, because cell division is also a form of growth. So the number of cells, if it increase, that also depicts growth, right? So therefore auxin also helps in cell division. So this was about the role of auxin. Next, talking about gibberellin. So gibberellin, there are about more than 100 different types of gibberellins that have been discovered, or that have been widely reported from widely different organisms, such as fungi and also in higher plants. So the best example while talking about the discovery of gibberellin, we discussed about Gibberella fugicula, which causes Buchanan disease in rice seedlings, right? And that is when through Gibberella fugicula, actually gibberellin GA3 was discovered. So that is how, not just that, not just from Gibberella fugicula it was discovered, but different 100 types or thousands types of gibberellin have been identified from different kinds of fungi, other organisms and also higher plants. But the most common forms of gibberellins that are found are GA1, GA2, that is gibberellic acid 1, GA2, GA3, and GA3 is the first gibberellin to be discovered. So like this, there are different types and different names have been given: GA1, GA2, GA3, 4, 5, 6 likewise. But among these, GA3 was the first to be discovered. So GA3 was first discovered in Gibberella fugicula fungi. So we have learnt about it in the previous session. And all these gibberellic acids or gibberellins, they are acidic in nature and they produce a wide range of physiological responses in the plants, because they also play a very important role in the growth of the plant, and they come under the group 1 of the plant growth regulators. So that is why. So next, let us see what is the role of gibberellin in the physiology of the plant. So gibberellin actually causes an increase in the length of the axis of the plant. Say for example, increase in the length of grape stalk. So it helps in increasing the stem of a plant, increasing the height of a plant. Say for example, the grape stalk is one such best example. And also it causes fruits like apple to elongate and improve its shape. So the shapes of fruits in the plant is decided by gibberellin. So therefore, apple is one of the best example that we can take here. And gibberellin, it delays senescence. So what is senescence? Senescence is the condition of the plant where it reaches the old age. So here the leaves and all will start to wither, the fruits and all will start to wither, all that. So here this gibberellin delays senescence in such plants, and thus the fruits can be left on the tree for longer duration, so that it is benefit for the farmer. Say for example, a farmer is dealing with someone to sell the fruits. So that a dealer might say, I want to delay buying fruits from you for a month, or say for example for 2 weeks. So is it good for the farmer to leave the fruits on the tree, or pluck everything off, or harvest everything and store it in a storehouse? It is better to leave it in the tree. So when he has to leave it in the tree, what he can do is he can provide gibberellin hormone or growth regulator. So if gibberellin growth regulator is provided, then the falling of the fruits, because we all know that once the fruit completely ripens, it will fall off from the tree. So that can be prevented or can be prolonged. That is, senescence can be prolonged. And also gibberellin can be used to speed up the malting process in brewing industry. That is especially in the wine industry or wherever the fermentation process occurs in the alcohol industry. There, in order to speed up the process of malting or fermentation, this gibberellin can be used. So for all these, gibberellins are preferred. And not just that, gibberellins can be used for spraying sugarcane crops so that it will increase the length of the stem. So if it increases the length of the stem of the sugarcane, then more amount of sugar to the farmer, more amount of produce, right? So that is why it is very, very important. And likewise, it will increase the yield of the sugarcane as much as 20 tons per acre. So 20 times it will increase the 20 tons, it will increase the that is yield of the sugarcane if the sugarcane stems are sprayed with gibberellin. So that is the reason. And spraying juvenile conifers. So juvenile conifers. So what is juvenile? The young. The young conifers. So conifers means we have pines, this all that other conifers. So spraying juvenile conifers with gibberellin acids, they are trees, conifer trees, young, spraying young conifer trees with gibberellin, it actually speeds up the maturity period of that particular plant, thus leading to early seed production, because pine seeds and all that is of great economic value. So if we need to get if we need to get seeds from those plants at an early stage itself, or within very few months, then then we need to increase the maturity of the plant. So to increase the maturity of the plant, it is enough if we spray gibberellin to the young plants. And also gibberellin promotes bolting. So what is bolting is nothing but, say for example, we have a rosette plant, say cabbage. Cabbage is a rosette. How is it arranged? In the form of a rose, like, right? Cabbage. And even some of the plants, they are arranged like a rose, like this. The leaves are arranged like a rose, if you observe. So from these, the arisal of the stem from these, it is called as bolting. Bolting, it is nothing but from the rosette-like arrangement of plant, leaf-like structures, from that the formation of the stem, it is called as bolting. So to promote bolting also, because it is from this they have to bolt. Even cabbage also, cabbage and all that. So those plants, any of those plants, be it Arabidopsis plant or cabbage or many other beetroot plants, all that. Beetroot plant also, if you see, you can see the leaf arrangement like this. It is called as rosette. So such rosette plants, in that if bolting has to occur prior to flowering, because if the stem formation or bolting occurs, only the flowers can form. Prior to that, then if it has to promote bolting, then gibberellin is very, very important. So next important hormone is cytokinin. So I told you earlier, cytokinin was discovered as kinetin. Later on they named it as cytokinin. So cytokinins were discovered as kinetin, and it is nothing but a modified form of adenine, which is a purine. So adenine, it is found in the DNA, which is the nitrogenous base of the DNA. So when they were isolating the DNA and studying the DNA, they found out that from the autoclaved portion of the sperm DNA, that is, they autoclaved the sperm, they found out some substance, and when they identified what that particular substance was, they found out that it was nothing but kinetin, and especially that is cytokinin. So kinetin usually does not occur naturally in plants, but still scientists started to find out whether kinetin naturally occurs in plant, and that is when during the search for kinetin, they found out some cytokinin like substances which was called as zeatin, and zeatin was found in the corn kernels, and also in the coconut milk it was found. So corn kernels, coconut milk, there also a lot of genetic material, that is whatever cells will have nucleus, in the nucleus the DNA is there, in the DNA the adenine is there. So adenine, it is nothing but a kinetin is nothing but a modified form of adenine, and later on kinetin actually does not occur naturally in plant, but when they still wanted to search for kinetin, whether in any plant kinetin is there or not, that is when they found out some substances with cytokinin like activities, and they called it as zeatin, and it was isolated from the corn kernels and the coconut milk. So kinetin, since the discovery of zeatin, several naturally occurring cytokinins. So if I use the word kinetin and cytokinin, it is one and the same. So don't get confused. So since the discovery of zeatin, a lot of other naturally occurring cytokinins have been discovered from the plants, and apart from that, some synthetic forms of cytokinins also have been made, which actually helps in cell division, and also some natural cytokinins are synthesized in regions where rapid cell division is occurring. Why? Because cytokinin also participates in the process of plant growth, and cell division or the increase in the number of cell is also one of the properties of plant growth, right? So therefore, say for example, it is found in the tip of the roots, it is found in the developing shoot buds, the young fruits, etc. Wherever there is actively dividing cells being present, there cytokinin was discovered. Different forms of cytokinin apart from zeatin were discovered. So that is how cytokinin came into existence. But earlier it was called as kinetin. Next, talking about the role of cytokinins. So cytokinins helps the plant to produce new leaves. Why? Because they usually found in the regions that is a plant, and then that is the shoot apical bud region, then at the shoot apical region, internodal region, all those places. So therefore they help to produce new leaves, and also they help to increase the chloroplast number in the leaves, and they improve the lateral shoot growth of the plant, and also they help in adventitious shoot formation. So adventitious shoot formation is seen in sugarcane. So sugarcane and all, we have stilt root, right? So that is also a kind of adventitious root. Then in banyan tree also the prop roots are there, which is a kind of adventitious roots. So for all that formation, these will actually help. That is cytokinin. And cytokinins also help to overcome apical dominance. Like auxin promotes apical dominance, but cytokinin helps to overcome apical dominance. And also cytokinin, it promotes nutrient mobilization, which helps in delay of leaf senescence. So it makes sure that the nutrients are carried to all parts of the plant body, therefore supplying the nutrients equally to all the different parts of the plant body, therefore delaying in senescence of the particular plant or leaf senescence in that particular plant. So for all this, cytokinin is very, very important. So next important hormone. So this ethylene neither comes under the that is group 1 of the plant growth regulators nor the group 2 of the plant growth regulator. These are gaseous forms of plant growth regulators, and it is a simple gaseous plant growth regulator. And ethylene is synthesized in large amounts by tissues which are undergoing senescence and ripening of the fruits. Those plant parts which are about to fall off from the plant, that is which have reached the old age. So fruit, if it ripens also, it means the fruit has reached the old age, right? So those plants which are about to enter into senescence or undergo senescence, in that ethylene is actually found in abundant amount. So let's see what is the role of ethylene. So ethylene actually helps in horizontal growth of the seedling. So they're very, very important for horizontal, increasing the horizontal growth of the seedlings, and they also help in swelling of the axis and apical hook formation in dicot seedlings. So apical hook formation is very, very important in dicot seedlings because say for example, for clinging on to some substrates and all, it is very, very important. So for that they help. And also ethylene, since it is usually found in the plant parts which are about to undergo senescence, it promotes senescence, and it also promotes abscission of the plant organs. That is, especially it promotes senescence of the leaves and the flowers, or abscission of the leaves and the flowers. And also ethylene is one such very important hormone which, so it helps in fruit ripening, and also ethylene increases the rate of respiration during ripening of the fruits, and this rise in rate of respiration is called as respiratory climactic. So respiratory climactic means it is a condition in which ethylene favors or increases the ripening of the particular fruit is called as respiratory climatic. So therefore, ethylene also helps in respiratory climatic. Next is ethylene also breaks seed and bud dormancy. So it helps to break seed and bud dormancy, because we have seen that sometimes when there is unfavorable condition, the seeds or the buds of a particular plant, they become dormant, that is they become inactive, wherein they will stop their growth completely and they wait for a favorable period. So when the favorable period arrives, if the seed dormancy and the bud dormancy have to break, then ethylene is very, very important, and it breaks the seed and the bud dormancy, thereby facilitating germination in the seeds and also sprouting of the potato tubers. So for sprouting of potato tubers and for germination of peanut seeds and all that, ethylene is very, very important. And not just that, ethylene also, it increases the rapid internode and petiole elongation. That is in deep water rice plants. So those are the rice plants which are almost in waterlogged condition. In deep water rice plants, this particular ethylene plant hormone or a growth regulator, it actually increases the internodal and the stem elongation or the petiole elongation of such plants. And also ethylene helps leaf of the plants and the upper parts of the shoot to remain above the water. How does it help to remain above the water? Because it increases the height of the shoot. Ethylene is one such hormone which increases the height of the shoot. Therefore, make sure that the leaves and the upper parts of the shoot are all not touching to the water, but it is above the surface of the water in waterlogged area. So that is why ethylene is very, very important. And not just that, ethylene also promotes root growth, and also it helps in root hair formation, and also it helps to, therefore, because it promotes root growth and root hair formation, ethylene increases the surface area of absorption of nutrients by that particular root. So therefore, it is very, very important, as it increases the absorption surface of the root of that particular plant to which ethylene is treated. And also ethylene, it initiates flowering, and also it helps in synchronizing fruit setting in pineapples. In pineapples, we know that pineapple is a berry, right? So like how strawberry, in strawberry means there are different fruits, they form one strawberry fruit. When you look at strawberry, we feel as if it is one fruit, but actually it is clusters of all fruits that have come together to form a strawberry fruit. Just like that in pineapple also, it is clusters of different pineapple fruits which forms that one pineapple that we see. So if all the portion of the pineapple has to ripen at, or if it has to ripen at one set, then ethylene is very, very important. So therefore, ethylene helps in synchronizing the fruit set in pineapple, and also it helps in increasing the flowering in mango, or to induce flowering or to bring about flowering in mango. It is very, very important. And not just that, ethylene also regulates many physiological process, and that is physiological process in the case of plants, and it is also one of the most widely used plant growth regulator in agriculture. And it is also there is one compound called as ethaphon, which is one of the most widely used form of ethylene, which is used which is marketed. So ethylene is marketed in the form of ethaphon, which is most widely used for agricultural purposes. So let's talk about what this ethaphon is. So ethaphon in an aqueous solution can be readily absorbed and transported within the plant. So you just mix ethaphon in water and you make an aqueous solution of it and pour it to the soil or spray it onto the plant. It can easily travel through different parts of the plant body, and therefore it can release ethylene very, very slowly in the plant body. And ethaphon, therefore, it helps in ripening of the fruit in tomatoes, and also it increases the abscission in flowers and fruits, such as it increases the thinning of cotton, cherry, and also walnut. And not just that, ethylene also promotes the development of female flowers in the case of cucumbers, thereby increasing the yield of the cucumber plant. So for all this, form of ethylene that is being marketed in the name of Ethaphon is very, very important. So this is how ethylene helps in the overall development of the plant. Next, one of the important hormone that comes under the group 2, that is plant growth promoting hormone, is abscisic acid. So we shall see what is the role of abscisic acid. So abscisic acid, it acts as a general plant growth inhibitor. So it is a general plant growth inhibitor and inhibits the plant metabolism. That is, whatever metabolic pathways are going on in the plant, it brings a halt to that particular process. That is why, and if these metabolic processes are not occurring properly, then obviously the plant growth will not occur properly. So that is why it is called as a plant growth inhibitor. And it also inhibits the germination of the seeds. So abscisic acid prevents germination of seeds, and also abscisic acid stimulates the closure of stomata, and also it increases the tolerance of the plant to various kinds of stresses. So that is why whenever a plant is subjected to an environmental stress, be it drought, excess temperature, in such a situation, what happens? The abscisic acid in the plant increases. Therefore, that increase in the abscisic acid in the plant will close the stomata. It will promote the closure of the stomata. So when the stomata is closed, what happens? Transpiration rate will completely come to a stop, therefore helping the plant to preserve water, right, from evaporating. So that is especially during the times of stresses, the abscisic acid plays a very important role in closure of the stomata in the plants, therefore preventing loss of water. And also, because it does so, it is also called as the stress hormone. So which is a stress hormone? Abscisic acid is one of the best example for a stress hormone. Why is it called a stress hormone? Because during environmental stresses the plant is subjected to, it helps in the closure of the stomata. So that is why. And also, abscisic acid, though it prevents germination of the seeds, abscisic acid plays a very important role in the development of the seed, in the maturation of the seed, and also in dormancy. Abscisic acid is the one which makes the seed dormant. When will the seed become dormant? Again, when it is under stress, right? So that is why abscisic acid inhibits seed germination, because it makes the seed dormant. That is why it will inhibit seed germination. Next, abscisic acid actually helps seeds to withstand desiccation, and also it helps seeds to survive well in unfavorable conditions for growth. So that is meant by dormancy, right? So dormancy means the seeds will not grow in the unfavorable condition. So for that particular reason, this abscisic acid is very, very important. So I hope you understood this session very well, wherein we discussed about the important role of the various plant growth regulators such as the auxin, then gibberellin, cytokinin, ethylene, and abscisic acid. And also we understood what is their exact role in the overall physiological development of the plant. In the coming session, we shall discuss about three concepts, that is photoperiodism, vernalization, and seed dormancy in detail. So we shall meet again in the coming session. Thank you.